Hi. Oh, this thing's hot. I'll tell you a little bit about myself in just a minute. I wish I could have gotten the 30-second option, but I guess I'll take the 20-minute one. I've got some anti-rambling note cards here, so don't worry about that. When I was first approached with the idea of talking about reality, I went, okay, what are the subplots? Just reality, like that's it? That's such a vague topic. It's such a big thing. I could talk about that for hours with my friends. And then immediately I thought, you know what? I'll just recap all of the Real Housewives shows that I watch. Because I watch about 3 or 4 of the franchises, throw in a little Love and Hip Hop, the Kardashians. I mean, right, people get excited about that. So I was a little hyped for that. And then I thought, okay, maybe everybody in the audience doesn't watch reality TV. Because that's reality, like why not? But then I was like, maybe I'll sing a song because that always fills up time and people like to hear, you know, if you have an all right voice, people are like, oh, she sang, that's so different and innovative. So then I started looking for this song that I always sing to myself, right? And I was like, I don't really know all of the lyrics to this song. So I look up the song and I had the lyrics wrong. The word reality isn't anywhere in the song. So all this time I've been singing futures made of virtual reality, but that's not the words. Anybody? Jamiroquai? Anyway, yeah, and I was wondering and I was like, gosh, the song doesn't really, the lyrics don't match, that's why. Because I had it wrong, that's something that I do. I'm sure people here can relate. So anyway, I am just, I'll start with my note cards. Good morning again. Anti-ramble. My name is Tori Wiggins, and I am an American citizen. I'm a woman. I'm a Black woman. I'm an actor. I refuse to say actress because nobody calls female doctors doctress. So we're going to stick with that because actors and doctors, right? Same thing. I am a fiance, soon-to-be wife, a daughter, a granddaughter, a sister, and a friend. I am an educator and a self-proclaimed foodie, specifically in the realm of bacon. And sometimes I am an only. That's my reality. I want to kick off this talk by doing an excerpt from a piece that I've done. I have a solo performance that I used to travel with. I toured with it for many years. I've done it here in Cincinnati. I've done it here at the No Theater. And it's from a play that I co-adapted from a book. And the book was entitled Your Negro Tour Guide by Kathy Y. Wilson. If anybody's familiar with her, yes, her columns, they were made into a book and we wrote a play about it and it was a pretty fucking kick-ass play. I'm biased, but for real, it was good. Anyway, here is a little piece from that. I've been the only one for most of my life. The only Black, the only girl, the only lesbian, the only Black girl lesbian, the only. It's kind of funky, this onlyness intersecting race, gender, and class. Life as a Black American is like 12 months of Black history with its pockets turned inside out. All white, all the time. So I create language, characters I use to reclaim tired stereotypes. And with each of them, I see myself through a lens darkly. They're fearless, questioning, ostracized, misunderstood. Yet they thrive. Maybe not how you define thrive, but they're free because they self-preserve and they don't apologize or barter in order to fit in anywhere. We're the ones who show up looking out of place, but who nonetheless will always belong. Please keep your hands and feet inside at all times and your minds open. Here we go. As an actor, I often hear that most people like us suffer from something called, bear with me with this pronunciation, onyrotaxia. Anybody know what onyrotaxia is? Onyrotaxia is the disability to distinguish between fantasy and reality. I will own that. I think sometimes as an actor, you know, I'm just that person that will do monologues in front of my mirror and then turn them into conversations like I'm thinking of it on the spot, but I had like practiced it before. That's my example of anorexia. But it is something that I think not only actors do, but anybody with any kind of performative nature. And you can find yourself in a performative nature at any point in your life. Interviews, you have performative nature. Dates, you have performative nature. Chris Rock says we often send our representative. That's a character. That's all that is. You're just deciding that this character will be the one to score or this character will be the one to dismiss. And each one has their own way of doing it just right, don't they? That's just me? Okay. I know how to diss somebody, especially on a date. So reality is defined in many ways, but some of the ones I found was the world or the state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to an idealistic or notional idea of them, or the state or quality of having existence or substance. Blah, blah, blah. By that definition, here's my reality. I'm standing in front of a crack ton of people at the crack of dawn o'clock in the morning trying to speak on something that I believe only exists by perception. And as we all well know, perception is different for everyone. Each person's perception is their reality. One of the examples I was given, I talked to a lot of people about this because I really needed to streamline, especially after I found out that the words virtual insanity weren't going to work. I had to ask my friends for some help, like, what's reality to you? What do you think? I was like polling people like Family Feud. 20 of my friends said. One of the examples I got about the perception of reality is that what you see is not what everybody else sees. So for example, you may think that you are a great and fearless leader who always takes initiative, but others may perceive you to be a bossy attention seeker. You never know, right? Sometimes you don't care, that's my reality, but sometimes that is just how perception works. I like to kind of liken the idea of perception of reality to like drunk goggles, right? Except instead of being drunk, your goggles allow you to only see through your normative gaze. What I mean by that is what you see is specific to your life and is informed by your personal experiences. Now, if we had the ability to take them off, what would we see? Can you fathom that type of objective reality that we are incapable of because we can only see things through our own normative gaze that is informed by your own personal experiences? That was deep. Now, this type of idea of this objective world, this kind of universal reality, it's the complete opposite of what reality is for us. And I think anyone would agree that. For us, reality and observance can sometimes be skewed, clouded, prejudiced, disillusioned, idealistic, but all of those things stem from perception. That should have been the theme, perception. It kind of is, because perception is reality. Roll with me, it all ties in. And that's one of the reasons why I started with that piece from your Negro tour guide, because one of the things I love about that show is that it was written by myself, a heterosexual black woman, directed by a white Republican Texan male, and also written by Kathy White Wilson, who is a black woman who happens to be a lesbian. And so in this piece, we kind of hit all of those parts of the reality that we share in common and some of the ones that we don't. So we all learned about our own shared experiences and things I didn't even know about because that's not my existence. Those things don't exist within my normative gaze. So I had to force myself to kind of look through things through this lens and see what it was. And this piece kind of helped me relate to everybody that was watching it because there's always something you can relate to. You know, there's this one piece in your Negro tour guide, and it's called Talking Black to the Screen, where I play a character that goes to the movies, and I'm that one person that's like, get out of there, don't go in there, you're gonna get killed. That's why your dumb ass got shot, you shouldn't have went down there. You know, that kind of thing. But I think you're laughing because you know that person. This is not just a character I made up in my mind. The reality is there are people who really do that. Even though we can make fun of said person, we wouldn't have that material if they weren't really doing that in the music, in the theater, right? So that's why I wanted to kind of incorporate that piece, because it's important to me that you know that today I'm speaking to you about how I see reality through my own normative gaze. Even though I did ask a bunch of my friends, all, men, women, black, white, whatever, I did ask a bunch of my friends what they thought. That's kind of what I came up with, right? I asked my fiance, for example, what his idea of reality is. And he proceeded to tell me, I'm gonna try to do his voice. He proceeded to tell me, reality doesn't always depend on your salary. I think he might have been rapping. I'm not sure. But I get it. Money doesn't buy happiness. I don't know where he was going with that. He's not speaking, I am. But anyway, I thanked him for his contribution. But most of my friends, like I started off with, when I asked them what their idea of reality was, I was really I should not have been shocked, but I was kind of shocked because a lot of the responses I got were fake, not real, the existence of things that are not real. 88% of them were like reality TV, Love and Hip Hop, Real Housewives, and I was like, that's not real? What? But the general consensus of the people that I polled was that reality wasn't real. Isn't that the base of the word? But most of them also, in explaining their findings, used the word perception, as we discussed earlier. But I do think that we can agree that as a whole, society is pretty obsessed with reality TV. And I thought about why that is. I mean, is it voyeurism? Is it just that we like the idea that we are seeing kind of these inside secrets exposed? Like, maybe you didn't know the Kardashian sisters fought, or maybe you didn't know that when people get into a hot tub, they might start like kissing. I don't know, maybe this isn't a part of your life and you're like, ooh, is this how it goes down in the, in the lifestyles of the rich and famous? Or I didn't know, like Honey Boo Boo could be in pageants. Like, I don't know a lot about pageants. I didn't know that like, you didn't have to be like rich, this was like reality of the trailer park for Honey Boo Boo. I don't know, these are things I don't know about, but these are things that we can see when we watch things like reality TV. So I thought maybe it's that kind of idea that we can kind of get a peek inside of what's real to people that we don't consider real. It's kind of like the idea that like, I don't know, does Oprah Winfrey take a poop? Of course she does. But you don't really think about that until like the door closes on her reality. It would never be her reality show, but that's the example I'm using. The door closes and you're like, ooh, she's in the bathroom, what? Like that's the kind of stuff we're watching on reality TV, and it makes it real for us, and that's something that we do all the time and no one cares. But I thought, so it might be that, or it might be that we are kind of subconsciously thinking about or discovering that these people are actually just like us. Kind of like the pooping thing, It's like seeing a celebrity fart. Do you know what I mean? Or even like your teacher. Like I remember when I was little, just like seeing my teacher in the grocery store, I was like, Miss Johnson, you shop? Like you buy groceries? Oh my God. And then the whole time I'm in the store, I'm like, oh, look, I'm tapping my sister. She getting spaghetti. She eats spaghetti. I thought she spent the night in the gym. I didn't even know she had a house away from school. And it's like that kind of thing. And even when I was teaching and my kids would like see me on the bus, like for weeks after, they'd be like, oh, Miss Tori, remember that time I saw you on the bus? I saw you on the bus when we were outside. I saw you. Remember I saw you? We weren't even at school and I saw you. And it just amazes them that I do the same things that they do. So I think maybe that might be part of the reasons why we watch reality TV. But I really hate to be the bearer of bad news here. And I'm sorry if I'm ruining your day or bursting your bubble or raining on your reality TV parade. But reality TV is not real. Gasp. I too thought reality TV was real until I got that first casting call for a reality TV show. Does anybody remember the show? This is an old one. Does anybody remember the show Change of Heart? Nope. Okay, I'm a little older than this crowd, but there was a show called Change of Heart where a boyfriend and girlfriend, if they were about to break up, they would go on this show and they would each go on dates with other people, and then if they really liked the date and liked being away from their significant other, they would break up. But if the date made them realize they were really in love, then they would get back together. And I didn't even audition for like the person that was like the date. I was the girlfriend. I was like, shut the front door. These couples ain't even real. And I'm sitting in front of my TV like, please don't break up. You know he loves you. Those flowers are real. You know, this girl's, her boobs aren't even real. Don't leave her for her. You know, anyway, how we get caught up, it's the same thing. But I got a casting call for that, and it just, I mean, it ruined my world. I was like, I can't even believe that. And the show was no longer on the air, but, and there were a couple of other reality TV shows that I lived in New York as an actor for 11 years, and every now and then I would get these kind of casting calls for these things, and I would immediately call my mom, like, guess what ain't real? Ricky Lake, you know, and she'd be like, what? Blow her mind, you know, like, I just got a call to be a contestant. Those aren't real people? I thought so-and-so's cousin said that her boyfriend's friend was on there. No. So some of them I ended up turning down, but, and ironically enough, some of them are based in reality. They just kind of want to give it a little push, kind of like we do every day. But one of the ones I auditioned for was a show that was on, it was a short-lived show on Spike TV called Crash Test. And I was on there, I hope you don't remember me, it was not great, but the audition was I had to go to Bryant Park in Manhattan and try to get someone to, I had a list of things to try to get people to do. So it wasn't like I could just go in and do a monologue, it wasn't go in and be, you know, pretty, have on a lot of makeup, it wasn't anything like that. I had to like do stuff. So one of the tasks on the little card that they gave me was get a stranger to let you use their cell phone. And cell phones were like brand spanking new. Like people had, they weren't those big ones like Zach Morris had in Saved by the Bell, but like, they were like StarTacs, you know, like we didn't have color screens yet. There wasn't like texting. So anyway, I'm drumming up this story. I'm not the greatest improv person, but I'm drumming up this story and I see this guy walking down the street. And he just looks at me and smiles. And immediately I think, oh, I can get him. I can get him to let me use his phone. But then I'm also like, oh my God, he's fine. Like, this is a good looking man. And so I thought in that moment, do I muck it all up and try to get this job? Or do I say F it all and just ask him out? Which I used to do back in the day. I'll tell you more about that later. But anyway, I drummed up the story about how I was looking for, you know, Houston Street, which they call Houston in New York, which is weird, and I couldn't find it. I mean, I even got some tears going, and I was like, I have this audition for this place called the Hot Titty Bar, and I can't find it, and I have a change of clothes in my bag, and I left my bag on the subway, so, you know, the bikini that I bought to wear, I don't even have that now. Now I'm not gonna get it, and I just really need to call my roommate and get the address or the phone number so that anyway, I'm just rambling, and he's genuine, he's like believing it. And I am making, you know, because you got to make it outrageous because, you know, I was still auditioning. I wanted the gig. So I'm rambling on about this kind of, I'm new to New York, I want to be a star, but they said I had to show my tits, and I still feel some kind of way about you. I'm just making stuff up. And this guy is like, really? No, I can help you. No, he's so kind. So anyway, he lets me use his cell phone, and I already had my roommate on, like, girl, I'm gonna call you and just make up some crazy shit. So I call her, and I'm like telling this story, and she is dying laughing on the other line. She's like, who is it? What does he look like? Does he believe you? Where are the cameras? You know, she's really like into this. And anyway, I get him to, you know, I work out the faux situation in front of him, and he's just, did you need to call again? Okay, sure. Do you need some privacy? He like walked down the block. I'm like, he just let me hold his phone. That's a good quality, cha-ching. So I finished up this kind of ruse, right? And he leaves, and the producer or whoever, the cameraman, comes over, he's like, that was really good, you know, it's one of the best ones I've seen all day, da-da-da. So now I'm just left out there, and I just happen to, I'm by that library in New York. If anybody's ever been in New York, it's Bryant Park is near the big public library. So I decided to just go in there and waste some time before I have to go to my next audition or home or to go cry in a bar, I don't know. So I go into this library, and who is sitting there reading, like, I don't know, War and Peace or some shit, something real intellectual looking. And he's like reading a book, and it's the guy that let me use his cell phone. So I walked up to him, and I was like, do you remember me? And he was like, yeah. Did you do your audition, or did you get the job? I don't, is it like a tryout? Like, he was really confused as to why I was in the library. He didn't want to ask because he's nice, but he was like, what are you doing here? And so I just poured it out. I was like, look, guy, this was all a thing. I was auditioning for the show. I just spilled it all out. And he laughed, and I laughed, and we went and got like smoothies from Jamba Juice. And we proceeded to date for like 6 months after that. That is what should be happening in reality shows. I promise that's related somehow. You'll figure out when I keep talking. But anyway, I did end up doing that stupid reality show. I did get the gig, and it was ridiculous. But it's amazing, though, because I think if I had seen that scenario on TV, that would have been more interesting to me than what is being pushed at us as real. And generally speaking, most people don't like reality TV. They don't like the idea of it, but they like to watch it. So like people talk, especially when they're trying to be like, I don't watch that crap. I was watching, Sunday morning news. I was watching 60 Minutes. I don't watch reality TV. I was watching CSI, Law and Order. I saw you watching the Kardashians, and it's okay. It's okay. But most people talk so much shit about it that you would think everybody has so much negative things to say, you would think no one's watching it, and yet the ratings are through the roof. They are steady climbing. Ever since The Real World came out in like 96, people have attached themselves to the reality TV bandwagon, and it has just gone upward. Everybody remember The Real World? The first one, when it was like meaningful? They were like trying to change the world in this house. They had like jobs. There was no hot tub. People would fight, and we'd be talking about it for weeks, like, ooh, Tammy threw something at David. I can't believe it. They did it on TV. Now it's like automatic, just know you're gonna get a drink thrown in your face if you're out anywhere at a bar on a reality TV show. So the ratings are high, steady climbing, and it's kind of that thing about, is it the commonality that we enjoy about watching strangers fall in love or argue, fight, have family meetings, do activities together, have hot tub relations, whatever? It just might be because we think that's their reality, or we really, really, really want it to be, because we hold it as a standard to our lives. How do these people live like that? I would never do that. If I had this much money, I would never do that. If I was on that island eating those meal bugs and eating, leaves and drinking seawater, I would never have made that decision. I would never have voted so-and-so off. I would have just eaten the other leaves. I would not have aligned myself with this one who don't know how to talk to people. He didn't even bathe himself in the river when we were all there. We like to compare it to like what our thoughts are. Or I would decorate my house that way. That's so extravagant. I would never spend my money on that. This is kind of what we do to make that kind of extreme part of reality a part of our reality. I mean, whether it's Honey Boo Boo, whether it's Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, reality TV is a part of our reality. It is now our popular culture. It's ingrained in our reality. But I found this really cool quote from the movie Reality Bites. Vicky Minor. Anybody seen Reality Bites? Yay! Okay, some people in my age group. Good. So anyway, to quote Vicky Minor from the critically acclaimed 1994 cult classic Reality Bites, Evian is just naive spelled backwards. I checked it too. I was like, N-A, oh shit. Total mind blow. So I think that reality as a whole, just the idea of reality, it kind of gets a bad rap. No one I asked was like, reality is amazing. It's where we thrive. Everybody was like, it's fake. It's a perception. It's not real. It's a myth, and all this stuff. But everything kind of had a negative connotation to it. I mean, even there was a song back in the 90s, back to life, back to reality. So it's kind of the idea that we have to get back to it because like where we were before was like a vacation. And then it's like, oh, back to reality. Guess these bills really do need to get paid. It's not like, guess I really do get to go to the job I love every day. That's reality for some, not for all. But it just indicates that wherever reality isn't, is like the bomb. wherever reality is, it's like, fine. I mean, since I have to live, you know what I mean? And just kind of the things people say, even like the title of the movie, Reality Bites, you know, or somebody tells you need a reality check, you know, like, can I cash it? I don't think that's what they meant. But I looked in the thesaurus to see what words were synonymous with reality. And you know, sometimes the thesaurus is like, that was a reach, but I'm gonna share with you the ones that I found because I think it's interesting, and I'll tell you why. The thesaurus includes the following as synonyms for reality: absoluteness, actuality, authenticity, being, bottom line, brass tacks, certainty, concreteness, deed, entity, existence, genuineness, how things are, like it is, materiality, matter, name of the game, nuts and bolts, object, palpability, perceptibility, phenomenon, presence, real world, realism, realness, sensibility, solidity, substance, substantiality, substantive, tangibility, truth, validity, verisimilitude, verity, way of it, and finally, what's what. That's the entire, there was one other word on the list I couldn't pronounce, so I just scratched it. But all in all of those things are very positive. So if all of the words that are synonymous with reality are positive, why do we have such a negative view of reality? Nietzsche says, did I say that right, Nietzsche? Yes. Nietzsche said, no artist tolerates reality. Lewis Carroll said, imagination is the only weapon in the war against reality. Neil Donald Walsh says, quantum physics tells us that nothing that is observed is unaffected by the observer. The statement, that's from science, holds an enormous and powerful insight. It means that everyone sees a different truth because everyone is creating what they see. Evian spelled backwards is naive. Reality includes, and this time I went to Wikipedia. The first definition I went to actually like Merriam-Webster, but this time I went to Wikipedia, which you know, your really smart cousin that knows how to code can put stuff on Wikipedia. Reality includes everything that is and has been, whether or not it is observable or comprehensible. It includes everything that has existed, exists, or will exist. Reality can change. It can be manipulated. Remember, the light at the end of the tunnel is not an illusion. The tunnel is. Thank you. And that's all I have to say about that. So I think now is the time for questions and answers. All right, question and answer time. Guys, I really can't call on everybody all at once. Just simmer down, simmer down. Yes?
Are you doing a French piece this year?
I am doing a French piece this year. Oh, thank you for the plug. It's called We Did It, Girl, and we are eradicating racism in 40 minutes. Come and see it. It's a show, and it's good, and it's funny, and it's good. It's Kevin Crowley wrote it. I am starring in it with him, and it's good. My man. Yes.
So in Cincinnati.
Yes.
I'm not a native Cincinnati as well.
Okay.
And I think in Cincinnati that reality, like the truth, are things that people say they want, but they really don't.
That they want or that they are?
They really want.
Want. Okay.
They say they want it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they really want it. Because when you give them the truth and doses of reality, folks get all worked up.
Ooh. They, them, girl. Ooh, who you talking about? Tell me later. I want the tea.
I was just wondering if you had that experience since you've been here. I've been in Cincinnati for 24 very long years.
Okay.
Lovely place.
It is.
Lovely.
It is lovely.
And my perception
Agreed. I think that's anywhere.
That's my reality.
Yeah.
That's my reality.
I mean, the fact that it's, we're in the valley, so if you can go anywhere else in the spring, please do that. But if you're an allergy sufferer, I've been trying so hard this whole time while I'm up here not to like snork mucus, but it's bad. It's bad out there. To answer your question, it's so funny because I'm originally from the South. So I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. And you want to talk about the lack of, my mother was like 4 different people. There was church mom, there was house mom, there was you better not ask me for nothing in the grocery store mom, there was PTA mom where I can't let your teacher see how I'm gonna smack the mess out of you when I get home, but look in my eyes and know it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? And then there was, mom around family mom. I can just watch my mom morph into all these versions of herself. I didn't know what code switching was until I watched this woman in different environments. And it's amazing because it's so smart. And that's why Southern people are so well liked. It's because they have a level of appropriateness. They know that there's a time and a place for everything. I went to a restaurant that I won't name down in OTR, and I had a really bad experience with a waiter. And I was an only, and I was with a group of my all white friends. We're all theater people, and this waiter was trying me to the depths of trying. Like he just kept poking at me, and I said, all right, there's a part of me that used to exist that only comes out now in jest. But if I need it, I can access it. But I didn't want to do that because I was afraid of how I would be perceived. But I wanted to tell him where to go and how to get there and which train to take and how much luggage. It was serious. But I knew that that's not how I wanted to be perceived in that moment. And it really just wasn't the right time or place for it. So I did what any, appropriate person would do. And I went on Yelp and reamed his ass. Specifically, and I mean, that thing was like 4 paragraphs. I was like, and then after the salad, he did this. But I think you're right. It's interesting because I've lived in Atlanta, I've lived in New York, and then I've lived in Cincinnati. And the perception of people and how they get on, it is very different. I think at the root of it, though, it might be the same kind of thing. Everybody just they want to be what they want to be, even if they're not there yet. Fake it till you make it kind of thing. And I think that, in a city that doesn't always get such a good rap, when you think of Cincinnati, you think of like Chili and like that show from the 70s, or like Jerry Springer, or I don't know, I think that might be it. Like if you're not here, I don't know. You know what I mean? If you're not from here, it's kind of like, well, so of course the people, people here know the significance of it. But even like you said, as they travel other places, people, oh, you live in Ohio? No, I live in Cincinnati. That's different. It is a very different thing for me to tell somebody, yes, I live in Cincinnati, than I live in Ohio. Because that could mean like Akron or like, I don't know, Williamstown or, Podunkville. I don't know. It could mean anything. It's just like I tell people I'm from Atlanta. I don't say I'm from, Georgia. You need to know a specific city so that you can have the perception of me that is on the positive end. Somewhere in there, I think I answered your question. I'm not sure. Come back to me, though, if you have another thought on that. Yes, sir.
Tori, as an actor, you specialize in getting on a stage, presenting something that's not real,
Mm-hmm.
and yet we're supposed to kind of believe there's some reality in there that's going to tell us something about our own reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to find a question too. But so what makes you such a good observer? I mean, I've seen you on the stage. What do you think makes you such a good observer from that unrealistic point of view of reality? That will tell us something.
I see. I like how you came back around to that. That is a question. I think unrealistic is not a word I would use to describe theater. I would think of more a slice of life. even if the life is an alternate reality. The idea is to make it believable for at least 90 minutes, right? There is also a myth that an actor is a good liar. That is not true. I went on a date once and he accused me of being a good liar because I was an actor, and I was like, I should have lied when I told you, yes, I was going on this date. Needless to say, I didn't see him anymore after that. I'm actually a terrible liar because I excel in the art of being honest. And that is what acting is being honest to that character, being honest to those given circumstances that you are in. So for me, and for any actor that's worth their weight, it is impossible to become someone else. What you do when you approach a character, and a lot of you do this in your lives, you just don't realize it. What you do is you find where you and the character meet, and you kind of blend them together and like kind of make muffins. Do you know what I mean? You know, you're the eggs and the butter, they're the flour. Well, you get that's a bad analogy, but you know what I mean? It's kind of the idea that, and I'm an acting teacher as well, and I always tell my students, you will go crazy if you think acting is becoming something else. It's not. You will never lose all of yourself in the character, but I'd like to think part of the reason you were cast in the first place is because a part of you connects with that character in the perception of others. And that's what you hope the audience will see. That honesty of those two things coming together. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question? Maybe? If I have another thought about that, I will come back. Yes.
I'm an acting teacher too.
Sweet. Yes.
And what I see a lot in like the industry in terms of what it demands on kid performers is like the opposite of what you're talking about. It breaks my heart, like the artificialness or this idea that you're gonna just become famous by being on YouTube or something like that. Like, I don't really have a question, but do you mind ranting about that a little bit?
Yeah. How much time do I have? Yeah, you opened a can of worms. And to be fair, as an actress, I did not come up in the age of like webisodes and YouTube. You know, we had to kind of just put ourselves in your face. So I do have some sensitivity to the kind of integration of technology and social media in the arts. I do. But the great Uta Hagen, she's a really famous acting teacher, for those of you who don't know. Uta Hagen defines acting as living truthfully under imaginary circumstances. If I can get my students to understand that concept, I mean really understand it, then I don't have to worry about anything else, right? What makes me who I am is the fact that I was born and raised in Georgia. I was in a two-parent home. I'm a middle child. I went to art school from the minute I was, could talk, and I was raised in the performing arts. I was always in diverse atmospheres and diverse company until I got to college, where I became an only. I spent, a few years in the Midwest, 11 years in the North, and then back into the Midwest. All of these things that I just listed. I'm 5'10". I'm an African-American woman who wears her hair natural. I have a really deep voice, and I cry a lot. All of these things are the given circumstances of my life. So if someone were to try to play me, if they have all of those things into play, they can do it, and they can do it honestly. They will be able to live truthfully within those imaginary circumstances. If you can get your students to understand that, then I think they'll get it. That wasn't as long of a rant as I thought, but I hope I answered your question. Okay, one more. Yes?
So you've lived in all of these different places. What keeps you in Cincinnati?
Oh gosh, the arts. The arts. I had a lot of, I suffer from anxiety. I don't mind being transparent about that. And I'm really surprised I lasted for 11 years in a city like New York, especially with just this kind of fear-mongering that happens in our society right now. But it was one of those things where it was kind of kismet. It was like, I got laid off of my corporate job because I was like, fuck acting, I need a job, I need to eat. And so I kind of settled into this corporate job. I worked there for like 6 months, got laid off, budget cuts, and then like the week after, I got like a Facebook message, hey, I remember you from the Fringe Festival in 2008. Do you travel for work? It's like, thank you, universe. And yes, I do. And I ended up getting more opportunities here in the first year that I was here than I had gotten the whole time I lived in New York. And I'm pretty good. I'm not even I'm not going on my looks or I know people. I was just out there hey, I have talent, let me try. And so, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so successful here is because I still have that mentality. And that mentality works in a city like Cincinnati because it keeps me busy and it keeps me working. The arts are thriving in Cincinnati. I mean, it's just every theater here, they're doing more things. I mean, they're just getting bigger and better. I'm playing bucket list roles, and I also found a husband here. So thank you, Cincinnati. I'm very happy. I'm getting married August 27th. I would not leave for anything as long as he is here. And I'm not ashamed to say that. He was a big part of why I decided to stay here. So him and the arts, I think. Also, the food here is really good. And I'm not even a chili person, but food-wise, and craft beer. I love craft beer. I just discovered that when I moved here. It's delicious. That's what keeps me here. I think that's all my time. Thank you guys so much for listening to me for this long. It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.